recap. So in the first class, I actually introduced us to what PowerApps is about. That is simply about building simple to complex solutions, right? Using writing no code or less code, right? So it was just an opportunity for non-professional developers. I mean, people who write C#, JavaScript, and all of those languages that all of us are familiar with. So it's just an opportunity for you to be able to build, those, to solve your own problem and maybe the problem of your business by building this simple, building simple solutions that addresses your business problem. So, and we actually talked about data sources, which are many. We talked about SharePoint list primarily. We talked about Excel. We talked about SQL. We talk about Postgre, MongoDB, and all other data sources that we can actually talk about. We also said Facebook, Twitter are also data sources. Reason being that you can actually connect to them and pull data from those places, perhaps for analytics purposes, right? So, and we said, whenever you want to build your application, it's important that you identify your tables, right? And you also identify the fields that you need to create within your application. It's very key. And having done this, we went ahead to create our SharePoint list, right? And we automatically generated an app from that list that we created. And in the second class, we built from scratch, right? Which, of course, like I said, is what you'll be doing most times. You build from blank, you create screens and you write expressions, just like the way you do in Microsoft PowerPoint, where you create slides, you create screens here. And like the formula bar that we are conversant with in Microsoft Excel, you also have the same formula bar here where you write your expressions. So we went ahead to build this simple solution. I'll be sharing my screen just right now. So we went ahead to build something, yes, a management. If you can see my screen, so we went ahead to build this simple solution. It's actually a membership system, that allows, an association or society to hire the members and be able to manage the members. So here we actually created 4 screens: the welcome screen, the new member screen where where you had the members details. There's a success screen that's upon successfully adding a member, it shows you this message just for user experience purpose. And then also we created a final screen that shows all the members where you actually be managing, these members. Okay, so this was where we stopped last week. So today we're going to be looking at some few things that we need to make this actually work perfect. So an example is that we need to make some of these fields compulsory. For instance, number one is that this membership ID should be automatically generated. We're going to look at how to do that. We also would make our first name, we'll make it a required field, and some other fields that are here. So number one is the first name. How do we make it required? It's simple. So like I said, whenever you select a field here, we call them card. Now this card is actually let's look at this like a parent. Now within this card, there's a field name which is called the key, and there's also a control here which is the data card value, which you can actually rename. But in situations where you have many fields, you might not be able to have the luxury of time to rename them. Now this card, if I select this card, I can go to the property here. Okay, then I'll go to required. So once I select my required, I'm able to change this false to true. But if you look at it, as I'm clicking on it, right, it's actually locked. So I need to unlock it before I can proceed. And how do I do that? I'll go to the property pane on the right here. Okay, so I click on advanced. Then I'll go to unlock to change properties, right? So when I do that, you see that this required equal to false can now be changed. So I'll change it to true. So I'll change this to true, right? So I'll select true. So it's actually a Boolean value. It's either it is true or it is false. There's no other thing. So the moment I do that, when I preview it, you see the asterisk that is showing here, okay? So I'll do same for other fields. So I'll go to required, I will unlock it, and I'll change this to true. I'll do that for this also. I'll go to required, unlock, then change this to true. For department, I'll unlock it. I'll go to required. I'll change it to true. Matric number, yes. Now matric number, I might not change it. I might not change it to required. Reason being that some persons by chance might have forgotten their matric number, so I'll not make it required. So, but the gender, of course, there's no way you can forget your gender. So I'll change this to true. The email address, very critical. I'll change it to true. The phone number is also very important. I'll change this to true. The industry, right? The industry to, I think we need to get the industry, right? So I'll change this to true. And finally, the graduating set. Yeah, you should know that. I also change this to true. Now this is awesome. So you can see that everywhere that we have, every fields that are required, have the asterisk. Now you would say that, you would see that in some applications, asterisks are usually in red. So we can actually change that by going to this. I'll change it to red. Okay. So I'll go to this. I'll change it to red. Okay. I'll click on this to change this to red. Do same for this. Change this to red. Do the same for this. I'll change this to red. Now it is very important that you put these checks in place, because so if you do not make all these fields, some fields that are very compulsory, if you do not make them required, I mean, it might lead to you not having a clean data. So imagine that somebody didn't specify the department or the phone number, and over 1,000 people have registered, or you've entered for 1,000 people, or and anyway the case may be. So it means that when you are creating analytics, or you need that information or that particular data, you might not be able to have it. So it's important that you think deep when you are building your application. So we have actually made all of this, yes, all of these fields compulsory. Another thing that I also want to do is to have instruction at the top of this page to say that all fields in asterisk are compulsory fields. Okay. So how do I do that? I'll insert a label. Then I'll put it somewhere on the top here, okay? Then I'll change this that all fields with asterisk, okay, are required. It's just an information for the user, okay? So I will actually make this bigger, okay? Then yes, I'll give it color red so that the user can actually see it. So it will be conspicuous, okay? So I'll push this up a bit. Okay. All right, so this is clean. This makes sense. And if you look at it now, you see that we're making progress. Now let us fill this let's fill this. Let me say membership number. Like I said, we're still going to look at how to auto-generate the membership ID. So let me say this member, let me say LSM/005. The first name, let's say, is Mubarak, okay? And the last name is Jamil. And the middle name is Oladapo. We have the department to be easy. We have the matric number 01, 02, 03, 40, 040. We have the gender. So let me, so I don't have some of these fields, so I'll just attempt to submit. So the moment I try to submit, you see this email is required, industry is required, and you see all this required. So the reason is that because we have said they are required fields. Now you would see that I didn't need to, write extra codes to show all of this, right? So once I put email address, for instance, once I put email address and put phone number, okay, the industry, let me say government, graduating set 2000. So you would see that those messages, right, the error messages have gone. So if I do add member, right, so it submits, okay. The moment it submits, it takes me back to the home page and I click on add new member again, right? So one other thing that I also want to do now is I want to disable my add member button until all the conditions are met, or I mean, all the form conditions are met. So how do I do that? It's straightforward. What I do is I'll select my add button, okay? Then I'll go to a property of it called display mode. Now, by default, the display mode is on edit. There are different types of display mode. We have edit, we have a view, and we have disabled. Now, edit allows you to be able to click on the add member button, while the view, presents the button in read-only mode. While the disabled, actually, it grays out the button such that you are not able to see it. You'll see it, but it's grayed out. Now, what we want to do is to say that if I will introduce an if statement here. So that's why it's important that you learn all these if statements that are called conditional statements. So I want to say if my form is valid. What's the name of my form? Let me check it. So the name of my form is new member form, which I'll copy here. I'll say if, let me just remove this. If new member dot valid. Okay, so I'm saying that all the conditions, I mean, the required fields and every other thing that I must have done, if it is valid, then display mode dot edit. That is, it should show the button in edit mode. Else, display mode dot disabled. Okay, dot disabled. So I'll do this. Okay. Now, the moment I do that, you will see that my add member button is what? Is graded, right? So you can, if you see it now, you see that this is grayed out. So if until I fill all these controls, so if I say Ibrahim Idowu Adeniyi, payment, MEC, matric number, this is my gender, male, email, this phone number, my industry, okay, and my graduating set. You now see that the add member button is now in edit mode, right? So there's a field, okay, this matric number. If I remove it, the button will still be fine. It will still be in edit mode. Reason being that it's not a required field. But if I remove my email from this place, you'll see that it's now back to being grayed out. Okay. So let me add my email address now. So that's it, right? So this is it. So another thing that I want to do is okay, I'll come back to that. Let's go to our all member screen. Now, this all member screen, it's actually where you want to manage all members. Okay. Now, what are the things that you want to be able to do here? Number one is that you want to be able to update somebody's profile. Number one. Number two, you also want to be able to edit a particular profile, right? So how do we go about that? Like I'll explain to us. We achieve this by inserting a gallery. This what I select here is called a gallery. It allows you to display data, okay, existing data. It allows you to do that. Now, this is connected to our list, which is members profile, okay. And there's a template here. Once you look at, I've selected the gallery, and on the top here, there's a template. There's a template. Let me see that. Okay, there's actually a template at the top here. So that whatever thing you do here applies to all other rows. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to insert two buttons. Okay. Let me adjust this so that it comes back. Let me adjust this. Now, I want to insert two icons within my template. So I'll go to insert, edit icon. Okay. So I'll move the icon down to this place. Like I said, within the template, anything you insert will cascade down to other rows. So I want to make it smaller. So I'll give it 54, 54. Then I'll also pad it. I'll pad it. I'll pad it here, 10, so that it looks good, okay? Okay, so this is our edit icon if I need to edit this person record. Another icon that I also need to add is the delete icon. So I'll go to icon, then I'll find a delete icon. Okay, this is a trash. So I'll take it down here, okay? So I'll also make it, I'll adjust the size. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we have this. Let me adjust this. And let me expand this one to take the full width. Okay, 190. Let's see. No. Okay, we can have like 240. 250 should suffice, right? Okay, now this is great. So if I need to, let's first work on delete. Now what delete does is that whenever I click on this delete icon, I should be able to delete this particular record, okay? So how do we do that? There's a formula called remove, right? So I'll select this. So on select of this icon, what should happen? I'll say remove, okay? Remove, let me see. No, okay. Let me just do remove, yeah? Now, remove from where? Members profile. Okay, where's my profile? If you can recall, is the name of our list where our data is stored. Okay, then I'll put comma. When I put comma, then I'll select this item. Okay, this item means that this particular record is what I want to remove. Then I'll close it. So you can see it's that simple. So let us play it and see. So I want to remove Abari or Ladipo Rashid. So I'll delete this. Okay. So Abari is gone, right? Let me also delete another one. Let me remove the first one, Ibrahim. Let me delete it. So you see that's gone. So we have 4 left, okay? But then there's an issue. There's an issue, right? Now, how about if I had mistakenly, if I had mistakenly selected or, clicked on the delete button, is that how I will lose that record? So I have to be able to prompt the user to say, are you sure you want to delete this record, right? How do I want to be able to prompt the user to say, are you sure you want to delete this record? So how do we now create this prompt? Now, watch me do this. I will insert a rectangle, okay? I will insert a rectangle. How do we do that? Okay, I think I can go to plus here and I'll see a rectangle here. Now, what we're trying to do now is to create a dialog, to confirm that I want to delete that record, okay? So I'll have this dialog, okay? I'll change the background to something nicer. Let me give it something like this, okay? Now, within this dialog, I will insert a label. I will insert a label here. So in this label, I will say, are you sure you want to delete this record? Okay, so I'll ask that. Let me expand it so that it's obvious. Yeah, let me increase this font size to like 16, I'll centralize this. So I will insert 2 buttons here. Oh yeah, okay. Let me say I'll insert 2 buttons. I'll make this small. So this will be yes. Okay, no, let me say this will be no. Okay. This will be no, then I'll copy it and paste again. And this will be yes. Now, this red, this no, we will make this no very, very obvious. We'll make it, so let me give it a background of red, okay? The background. So this yes, we'll give it a background that is not too obvious. Now, the reason is that because there is a destruction that is supposed to happen here, okay? So let me give it white, okay? But I'll give the background this color. And I'll give this, the text background of, let me see, okay, let me give it this color. Okay, now let's preview this. Look at what I've done. So I've made this no very, very obvious so that should you, even if you had, so by default, you should be looking at no, but if you really want to delete it, that's when you say yes. And it's a kind of user experience related, thing, so that you really want to control the person to be sure that you want to delete this record, because it's actually a dangerous thing to do, right? We're not dangerous, but I mean, it's so if you don't really intend to delete it and you deleted it, so you know the implication. So that's why I said it's a dangerous thing, right? So, okay, now that I've done this, what we will do now is to group all of these things together. Hold on. Okay, before I do that, I will say, so when this no is selected, okay, let me group them together. So I'll select my rectangle, or no, let me select the text, this text, these two buttons, and this rectangle. You can see that I've selected the 4 of them. Okay, so I want to group them together. I've grouped them together. Okay, I will now call them group delete dialog. You can give it any name, but just ensure that you give it a name that you can actually easily identify with. Okay, so I've selected all of them together, the 4. I've grouped them and I'm giving them a name of group delete dialog. Okay, now the reason why I did that was so that by the time I click delete, I want the dialog to show up. Okay, when I click on no, the dialog goes, right? Now let us do this. We want to set a variable. Now, I know that for those of you who are new, what a variable means that is actually a temporary holder. It actually holds a particular, it holds data temporarily, right? And that it can actually change. The data can change, based on user action. Now, I would say that when this button is clicked, okay, I think I need to get people's feedback. Are people following? I just want 1 or 2 persons to confirm. Are we following? I need feedback. Do you have people following?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'll go ahead. So when I select this button, okay, now I don't want to remove anything again for now. So I'll just cut this formula out. So what I want to do is I want to set a variable called, so I will say show dialog. Okay, this is a variable. So what it will do is true. Okay, show dialog is called true. So what I've done is I've set this show dialog to true. So once I click on the delete, it shows the dialog. Now I will now set the visibility of this dialog to show dialog. I don't know if you understand. See, when I select this button, I've set a variable called show dialog. I've set it to true. That true, this show dialog will actually be a Boolean, a true or a false. Now, I want to set the visibility of this dialog to show dialog. So on visible of this, you can see it's true, but I won't make it true now. It will now be what? Show dialog. Okay. It will now be what? Show dialog. Now, when I play this and I click on this, it will show it, okay? It will show it. Now, how do I make it not show? When I click on no, what should happen? I will now say on select of no, it should be what? Set show dialog. It should be what? It should set it to false. Okay? So, but on select of yes, what should happen? Number 1 is that it should remove the item. Okay? Oh, okay. It won't take this item. Okay, I will resolve that. So let me remove it. So I can also say set show dialog. Set okay, I think there's a delay. So my browser is a big stock. So let's just hold on for it to come back. So that is, you have to be patient when you are working with her. So you can see, you have to be patient, else you might just lose everything that you're doing. So we just have to hold on a bit for it to come back. But while it's coming up, I want to take, okay, I think it's back. So show dialog, comma, to what? To false. Okay, I think there's a bit, okay, this set should be capital S. Okay, that's why it's underlining it. Now let's preview this. So if I say no, it goes. If I do this, yes, you can see it works, right? This works, but it's not deleting it yet because we haven't implemented the delete part. So if I do this, right? If I do this, right? If I do this, right? So the next thing that I want to do now is that, so when I say this, now you will see that when I said show dialog, so if I need to have two functions together, I need to introduce a what's it called? Semicolon. Then I'll do remove this from. Now this item is not working here, and that is why this is showing this. The reason is because this item will only work for a rule that you are implementing within this template. Now this dialog is outside that template, and that's why this thing is showing this error. Okay. Now what do we do? How do we address this? So what I would do is on select of this particular this button, what I would do is I will set another variable to pick that particular record. And how do I do that? I would say, okay, don't let me set variable. I don't want it to be too complex. So what I would do is, what's the name of this our gallery? It is called gallery all members. Okay, so I'll copy it and I'll come here. So instead of this item, I will now say this gallery name dot selected. Can you see that? So what I've done here is to say this gallery name dot selected. Selected in the sense that what I have selected here, this particular record that I'm selecting, okay? This particular record I'm selecting is what I want to delete. Okay, so let me go back here. I want this to come first. I want this remove item to come first. Okay, put my semicolon, then I'll remove this. So let's play this and see how it works. Okay, so I'll say no. Delete. Are you sure you want to delete? Yes. So you can see it's gone. Let me do another one. Let me delete. Let me delete this one. Delete. Are you sure you want to delete this? Yes. It's gone. Okay. Delete this. No, I don't want to delete. Delete this. No. Let me go back again so that we can see the formula. Now on this delete, on select of this, I want it to set a variable. This is a global variable, right? It sets this to true, which means that I want to see the dialog. Are you sure you want to delete this? Now I created all of these, therefore this rectangle, the label, and the two buttons. I grouped them together, okay? Gave them good delete dialog as the name. And I'll set the visibility of this dialog to what? To show dialog, such that, and I have this button to say, because I don't want to delete this, I've selected no, I now set this dialog back to false. But on this, I said remove from members profile. This gallery members dot selected, and now what? On show me the dialog. That's what I have done, and this works perfect. Okay, so I'm sure we're going to do that, and we'll get it. And so to also delete, to be able to delete a particular, to edit a particular record, what do you do? So what we do is we'll create another screen with a form that allows us to edit it. Now, because I do not want to create another form, I already have a screen that looks similar to what I want to achieve. So instead of me to recreate this, what I will just do is what? I'll duplicate this particular screen. Okay, I'll duplicate it. Now, the beauty of this again is that I can actually use this particular screen without duplicating it. What I just need to do is to set the mode from, you know, to be able to dynamically change the default mode from new to edit and set the item property, okay, and set the item property. But in order not to make it too complex, right? But of course, you also can explore this. But in order not to make it complex, I'll create a new screen and give it what? And give it edit member screen, okay? So I'll call it edit member screen. Then this our form. I will rename it also. So I like renaming so that I'm able to easily identify my controls and whatever artifact I'm using within my application. Now, I haven't done this. I will change the view from new to what? Edit. Okay. Now I will set the item property. I'll go to the item property of this and say my gallery. So I'll change it to, sorry, what's the name of my gallery? It's called gal members. It's called gal members. Okay, see gal all members dot what? Dot selected. Dot what? Dot selected. Selected means that the record that I've selected for my gallery, right, is the one I want to update. Okay, so I'll also change this header here. I'll say edit member profile. Okay, so I'll say edit member profile, right? So this one will not be add member again. To be what? Save member. Okay, let me say save, or just do save. I think save detail, save suffices, right? I'll just say save. So if I preview this now, okay, then okay, let me change this button. Let it be our back, let it be a back button, right? So let me look for back icon. Okay, this is back. So I want it to go back to, so I'll just use back, okay? Back means that it should go back to where I'm coming from. Okay, so it should just be back. So let me preview this, right? So I'm seeing this, let me go back. Okay, because it's not going back because we weren't actually coming from anywhere. But this is what I will do. I'll go from this all member screen, okay? So let me edit this. Okay, for this edit button, I've not linked it to that screen, okay? So now I want to link it. How do I do that? I'll go to on select property of the icon. Then I will say navigate to where? Navigate to the edit member screen. Navigate to edit member screen. Okay, so just hold on for it to, so it's now resolved. So you can go now. So let me edit this one, Idris Munir. Let me click on this button, right? So it opens up this profile. I can go back, right? Let me see, I want to also edit this, right? It shows these details. I can go back. So let me edit this one, for instance. So I will edit this J. I'll change it. Now, sorry, there's something I didn't do. This save, let me see. Okay, yeah. So I've said submit. So it will actually submit. I need to be sure. Then let me also check on success of this. What does it do on success of this? So, okay, on success of this takes me to the success screen. But also, if I do not want to go to the success screen because of experience, but let's just go ahead so that we have a feel of what I mean. So I'll change this J to, let me just say, Adilakun. Okay, I'll change the department to EC. I'll change the male to female. Then I'll change the Idris Adilakun at gmail.com. So, okay, I'll change from consulting to telecoms. Then I will save. So now you can see it says new member successfully up. So that's a wrong message, right? But we'll now have to manage that. Okay, let me go back to manage members. Wow, manage members is taking me to this. So I think there's a mistake somewhere. So I need to click on this and correct this. On select of this should actually take us to it should take us to where all members screen. So this should be all members screen. All members screen, okay? Yeah. So let me play this and go to this. Okay, I think that hasn't resolved yet. Okay, all members screen. So let me play this and click here. Okay, so it takes me to this place, okay? You can see that the update I did for Idris actually worked. Idris Munir Adelakun, you know, then I changed to EC, the matric then to female. Okay, let me edit it again. Now, I don't want it to take me to that home to the home page. I mean, I don't want the unsuccess when this thing successfully updates the details, right? So what I want to do, there's something called notify. Okay, notify just shows me a message at the top of the screen to say that you have successfully updated member details. Okay, right? So I can put a comma to choose a success, a notification type, which is success. Okay, then after this, I will now say navigate. Please, can we mute our mic? Sorry. Okay, so we do navigate. Navigate to where? I'll now navigate to the all members screen. Okay, I'll go back to my all members screen. Okay, so let's play this and see how it feels. So I'll change this back to male. I'll change the department back to mechanical. Then I'll change the middle name to Adilabu, right? So the matric number, I'll change it to this. Then I'll save this. Now, you say it says you have successfully updated member details. Okay, then it brings me back to this place. So yeah, I can manage this. Okay, no, I'll do this. No, I'll edit. And if I need to go back home, it takes me here. If I need to add a new member, right? So I can go back home. Though, and also I also want to add an icon on this page such that if this admin wants to add a new member, it should be able to add it from here. So I'll just duplicate this icon, right? I'll duplicate it and paste it, copy and paste. Then I'll change it to what? I'll change it to a plus. And where is it? Okay, hatch, right? So what do we do on add here? We will say new form. It's always important to put new form first, which form is that? The new member form. Close this, right? Then I'll put a semicolon because I want to add another function. Then navigate. Navigate to where? Navigate to new member screen. So it's important that you name your screens, your screens, your gallery appropriately, okay? So that you can easily, locate them. So once I do this, I can click on plus, right? If I don't wish to add. Now, if I click on plus, you see that the only place I can go back to is home, right? It's not a good experience for this admin person. Once the admin says, okay, let me click here, the admin should be able to go back to that all members page. So what that means is that we might need to, create another button that the admin would use to go back. So we leave this as home. Why we leave this as what? As back. So let me change this to back. So I'll change this to back, and I'll change it. So you should go to all members screen, okay? Or better still, let me do it. Let me make it back. Let me make it back. Yeah, so let's play it. So I'll go back. This is the admin plus. Okay, I don't wish to add any other thing. Let me go back. Okay, let me plus. I'll go back, or I'll go back home, add new member, right? All of these experiences are there. Manage members, edit, right? Matric number 01, 02, 05, 056, right? Telecoms, oil and gas, save, okay? Brings me here, you have successfully updated member details and this, right? So that's that. So allow me to take one or two questions. Because what we have actually done is a whole lot. I want us to also, go and implement what we have done. And okay, let me take questions before I take the last thing that we will do. Let me take questions, please. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Do we have any question or whatsoever? Is there
There's a question on the chat box.
Okay. Okay, I'm checking that right away. Please, how do we generate member ID? Okay, great. I was going to talk about that. I don't know if I should make that the last thing. Okay, let's just generate it once and for all. Let's generate it once and for all. That means what I want to do before I'll make that in the last class, which will be our So that brings us to the idea of the concept of Microsoft Power Automate. So Microsoft Power Automate actually allows us to build to automate processes, right? Let me go to the environment so that we can see that real time. I need to let me stop sharing a bit, or let me see. I need to hide this. Okay, I think I've done that successfully. So I'll go to flow.microsoft.com. Okay, so now Power Automate allows you to automate your processes, just like I said. Hold on, I'm trying to, okay, escape. Okay, let me unshare my screen just now. Okay, so automate allows you to, just like the name implies, allows you to automate your processes. It allows you to be able to so for instance, somebody sends you a mail with attachment. You want the attachment to go to OneDrive, you can do that by configuring Automate. You want to schedule a reminder, Automate allows you to do that. You also want to seek approval, right? You want to seek approval after building your application from PowerApp. So you want it to go through an approval process. You can actually use Power Automate to also achieve that. There are quite a number of things that you can achieve with Power Automate, right? Which of course you might not be able to completely discuss during the course of this training. Now, there are so many templates that exist within this environment, which I will show us right now. One of the things that you can also achieve, like I said earlier, is for you to connect to Twitter and get data about where your name is hashtag, or a particular hashtag, or a particular mention. You can connect to Twitter to actually fetch that. I mentioned earlier about a particular mail someone sends to you with attachment. You can pull all your attachment to OneDrive or any kind of repository. Okay, so there are so many templates here that you can leverage, and you can also create your own. So let me show us some templates that already exist. So you can see, okay, what is one template that says save outlook.com email attachment to your OneDrive? It's possible. Save email attachment from Outlook to Dropbox. There are so many of these. Run sentiment analysis on tweet and push results to Power BI data sets, right? You want to be able to look at some tweets and run sentiment analysis. You want to see if what the person has said is true, or what people have said is true or not, or false. That's about sentiment. That's what sentiment analysis talks about. You want to see what particular thing has been said. There are so many templates here. Send an email for new tweet about a cited keyword. Notify me and store. You can even connect to Google Forms, such that when somebody submits a Google form, you want to collect the data and push it to PostgreSQL. You want to push it to other data sources and be able to do some kind of processing around that. So that are quite much. So these templates exist. You can also create your own. Now, for us to be able to create or to generate membership ID, like we said earlier. So we just go to create and we go to automated. There are different types of flows from here that you can start from blank. There's instant, there's scheduled, there's desktop, and there's, all of these have the way they work. But particularly what we want to do is to say that when an item is created, when a new member record is added to our list, what should happen? Okay, that's what we want to do now. So let me see my list. Okay, so I'll give you the name. I will say membership. Let me see, or let me say, okay, generate. Let me call it generate membership ID. I'll give it that flow this name. Then I'll say when an item is created, okay? When an item is created, that's what I'll give it, and I'll create. So I need to go and look for the URL of this member list, okay? Okay, this is the URL. So I'll copy it. Well, I might not even copy it because obviously it will show it here. So it will show the name of your list, right? By the time this is called a trigger, okay? This first step that is here is called a trigger. It's the one that triggers your mail. There are so many triggers. There are quite a number of triggers, but for this particular one, it's when an item is created in SharePoint. That's when we want this thing to be triggered. So it will ask me for the name of my site address, which is LASUMEGA MIS, okay? Once I select that, I'll go to where my list is, which is members profile, okay? I'll select it. So I'll add a new step. That new step, what does it do? So like I said earlier, you see different steps that we can add. You see, if this is Excel, this is mail, this is Microsoft Teams, this is something on Microsoft Teams, this is Office 365 Outlook. But what we want to do is around SharePoint. So I can actually say SharePoint, okay? So I'll select SharePoint, then I'll look for update item. So because what we want to do is to update that particular record. So I'll say update item. So it will ask me which item do I want to update. So I will say the item is in LASUMEGA MIS. The name of the list is member profile. And what's the ID of that item that I want to do? Is the ID here. It's because the ID is actually coming from this top one. So I'll select the ID here, okay? So this is my member ID now. Let's say that LASUMEGA already has a membership, a format, Let's say there's a format for that already. So what I would do is I'll say LSM, right? That's LASUMEGA, right? Then I'll select the department, you see, / what? / ID. So what I've done here is to say LSM, right? The department, EC, CP, or MEC, right? / the ID. Don't forget that this ID is the ID of the profile that we just created. Because when you create something within the SharePoint list, it automatically generates an ID, which you can't see here, but I can actually show us. If I go to add column and do show or hide columns, okay? There's an ID here. There's an ID column that is there automatically. Wow, okay. There's an ID column that is there automatically. So I'll show us that. Okay, so let's look at it. This show ID. Then you see the ID column, which is this, okay? Let me apply this so that you can see it. So this ID is generated automatically. So I'll do this, then I'll save. So I'll save this, right? Once I save this, let me go back to my flows and you'll be able to see generate membership ID. Now let's go back to our application. Let us add a new record. I'll leave in fact, this member ID, I shouldn't, is either I hide it, I think I should hide it because it's not doing anything here. So I'll hide it, okay? So I'll hide it. Now I can rearrange all of this so that this space is not here. So I can leave that to us as an assignment, go and rearrange them such that this particular one, is not staying alone and this is staying alone. We can actually do that. But let me just fill in this. Let me go back home, add new member. Okay, when I did add new member, it's still showing a particular record. It's not supposed to be. So apparently something is wrong. I have to click here. Okay, new member, yes. Add new member. So why is it showing these details? Then something is wrong. Let me check this, okay? I'll change this. Let me check the item. It's blank, so why is it showing a record? Okay, let me change it back to edit. Let me change back to new. It's showing new now, but then it's not supposed to show new member. So I need to find out why that is happening, okay? Okay. Let me go back here. Okay, it's new. So let me fill it with, let me fill it with Abari. Okay. Last name, let me put John. Let me put name, middle name, Rashid. So department EC, matric number 04, let me put this. Gender male, email at yahoo.com. Then phone number, industry, then graduating sets. Yeah, so I'll submit this. So new members successfully added. Let's go back to manage members. So you will see that this number has not been generated here, but let's refresh. I'm sure it's been generated as it were. So we can actually check this list here. Let me refresh this. Okay, let's go to the flow and see. We can actually see if it has run or not. Okay, you can see the flow has actually run, succeeded, okay? So let's go back and check. Let's refresh and see. Wow, so you can see now, LSM EC/8, okay? LSM EC/8. So that's the membership number. So if you come here to and refresh, I'm sure it will show LSM EC/8. That's how to automatically generate a number or a membership ID, or even if it's a request ID, you know, based on the process that you are trying to develop. So that brings us to the end of today's class. We'll just take a few questions, 1 or 2 questions, and we'll call it a day. Thank you. Questions? Hello?
I hope this class will have the recording that we can go back to.
Sure, of course, we'll advise you the recording. Thank you. Any other person with any question?
Yeah, thank you, facilitator. Actually, I don't have any question for now. All I just need to do is just to do a practice on my.
All right, that's great.
Well acquainted with the lesson. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So if there's any other question, I think it's safe to call it a day, right?
Yes, thank you so much for your time, sir.
All right, thank you so much. So next week we'll be expecting you. Let's try and practice. If you have any question, you know, feel free to let me know, you know, via the chat, on the group, and of course we'll take it from there. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, boss.
All right, you're welcome.
So this Zoom session is scheduled for another class, so we can all exit and then while the other guys join, because there's another class starting at 11. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, so